And we are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to Refresh Your Podcast. We have a guest on, Phil Tourney. This is probably going to be one of the most important interviews we've done. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
And we are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Fresh Air Podcast, man. We got a very important show for you guys today, man. Today we're going to be talking about the USS Liberty. We got Phil Tourney here. He is one of the survivors from the attack. But before we get into that, guys, CastleClub.tv, as you guys know, that is the home base for us. That's how we're able to do interviews like this that, you know, one of the most censored historical events in U.S. history. So CastleClub.tv, guys, go support us over there. Also, if you want to donate to the show, you got questions, etc., FNFSuperchat.com. Also, you can Rumble Rant in, or if you're on Castle Club, you can go ahead and donate through Castle Club. We read those chats first, and you don't have to donate as much to get read on the show, as well as, what else? I'm trying to think. What other announcements?
Any updates on Twitch?
Not yet. Not yet. I got my guys talking to the people.
Cool.
So, but I'll find out what it is.
Suspension, not a full ban.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, guys, you guys will see us in 7 days on Twitch. Well, 6 days in this case. So, but we're live right now on YouTube and on Rumble. Just so you guys know, if you guys are watching this thing on YouTube, fine, no problem. But we are going to probably cut to Rumble here in the middle of the show once we get into a certain thing.
Yeah.
What else? Anything else I'm missing?
That's pretty much it.
All right. So
Without further ado,
we got a special guest in the house. Phil, welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you. Can you please introduce yourself to the people for those that might not be aware?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Phil Tourney. I'm the president of the USS Liberty Veterans Association, and I'm a survivor of the attack. And first, I'd like to give you this, if I may, please.
Oh, thank you so much.
USS Liberty hat.
Thank you.
And a USS Liberty coin.
Thank you so much.
And well, thank you. It's in honor of our shipmates, and we give this to you in honor of you for getting the word out. It means so much.
Well, thank you for your service. And I'm going to make sure that this doesn't die. I'm going to make sure that people know about this story and they know what really went down on that day. And then also you brought a friend along.
Hey, how you doing? I'm John. I'm here. I help Phil. Usually you see me on Twitter. I'm part of the RGS. We have a small podcast, not as big as yours, but we fight for the Liberty. We do a lot of things for the Liberty. So I'm here kind of as Phil's liaison to help promote the Liberty.
Yeah, and me and you have been in communication. Yeah. So shout out to John for coordinating the podcast and making it happen, guys. He was the one that really made things move.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming and obviously setting this interview up, which I'm very excited to get into. So Phil, can you please kind of take us through your background and before you got into the military?
Sure. I quit school in the 7th grade. My dad needed help, and so I went to work.
Where'd you grow up?
Pardon me?
Where did you grow up?
Colorado, Denver. I was
Denver,
born there.
Colorado?
Yeah, and we did construction, plastering, stuff like that, and I decided the day I turned 17, I'm out of here because I'm done with this. So I joined the Navy.
Yeah. What year was this when you turned 17?
I turned 17 December the 18th, 1946, or what the hell am I talking about? I joined at 17 anyway.
Yeah.
And I went in the Navy. December the 18th is when I turned 17, and I went in the Navy.
What year was that? Do you remember?
1964.
1964. Okay.
And then I went in the Navy February the 6th of 64.
Okay. So wow. So
how old are you now?
77. I'll soon be 78.
Okay. All right.
Hey man, look good for 77. I'll tell you that.
You do.
Oh, thanks, man. Hey, come on, look at all this.
So you joined December 18th. You said of 1963 or 64.
64.
64. Wow. You know, okay, I got to ask this question because I haven't been able to really speak to someone that's like lived through the 40s, the 50s, obviously 60s, 70s, 80s. What was it like living in the 50s and the 60s? Was it like a different like America?
Oh, it was a really a different America. It was an America that we said the Pledge of Allegiance at school, and it was an honorable time. We put the flag up every day and took it down honorably. Mm-hmm. And that was just in grade school, and I spent a little time in 7th grade. But it was a great time in America. It was right after the war, you know, and people were happy. People were making money. We didn't have any real problems, you know, until Vietnam came along.
Yeah.
Well, of course, the Korean War, but that was another terrible war.
Yeah. So, because today, nowadays, right, we have broken families. We don't have fathers in the household like that. Was the nuclear family much more apparent back then in the 50s and the 60s?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very little divorce. I mean, to get divorced was a cardinal sin. You didn't do it. Mm-hmm. No matter what happened, you stayed with your spouse.
Yeah.
Was it more Christian based, you would say? People were more Christian back in those days?
Yeah, more Christian based, more oriented to working hard and, frankly, playing hard. Mm-hmm. They did the same thing. People like to enjoy themselves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, how would people, because, right, I don't think people remember a time of what life was like before smartphones and everything else like that. But here, we're not even talking about internet, whatever. Like, how did people pass the time? Like, were people spending more time outside? What were people doing to, like, you know, for hobbies and enjoying themselves in the 50s and 60s?
Well, they would go out. They'd play basketball, pick up basketball. We'd play football. And we'd watch TV, not a lot of it. Mm-hmm. And actually TV just kind of, come out. I remember watching the first Mickey Mouse show.
Wow.
I stayed up late to watch it on black and white TV.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is what, in the 50s or 60s at this point?
This is like 58, 59, something
58,
like that,
59?
whenever they did it come out.
Wow. What was the atmosphere like? Was racism as bad as they claim it was back then? Or was it like...
It was when the riots in Watts, that was in the 60s. Mm-hmm. But no, it wasn't when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. No. It was, we had all different nationalities, mostly Spanish and black in Denver.
Okay.
We all got along, no problems in school or whatever. Nobody hated each other. Not quite.
So you guys had integrated schools in the 50s?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Okay, before the civil rights movement in the 60s.
So we could eat in the same room?
I'm sorry again?
So you're saying back then we could eat in the same room and it'd be fine?
Yeah, we went to the same bathroom, too.
Here you go.
Yeah, so Denver wasn't segregated?
No.
Okay. All right.
Well, nowadays we got Haitians eating cats and dogs, but back then.
Yeah, they love them.
This guy. So obviously it was a different time. Divorce wasn't a thing. Family was obviously huge. God and country. You mentioned that everyone was a much more patriotic. Said the Pledge of Allegiance every day. People stood up. Like, what made you say, you know what? I'm leaving school. I'm going to join the military. What made you want to do that?
Well, financially, to help my family. My dad, it was a kind of a hard time for us, and he needed somebody. I was a hot carrier, plastering.
Okay. And what did your dad do?
He was a plasterer.
Oh, plasterer. Okay.
Yeah, so I gave him the mud, and he put it on the wall.
Okay. And how long did you do that for before you decided to join the military?
I was 4 years. I started at 13 and left when I was 17.
Okay.
What did your mom do back then?
She was just a homekeeper.
Okay.
Stayed at home, took care of the kids.
Good old days.
Far more common, right? Like, there wasn't women in the workplace like it is now.
And my dad would leave like $10 a day on his table to feed 5 kids.
Wow.
$10 a day.
Yeah.
And she still had money left over.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my granddad passed away at 93. Rest in peace to him. He told me back then he could buy a car for like $300.
Yeah.
A brand new car.
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, even in the '60s, you could buy a car. A used one for $500-600. You get a nice used car. And I bought a new 1966 Ford Galaxy for $2,200.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was a lot of money back then.
Yeah. What a time. I mean, yeah, actually, you know what? Can we? What year was this when you said that your dad would leave? This is in the 50s. When he would leave like $10 on the table.
Yeah.
This was like, Bills, can you put $10, 1955? I want to see what that is in today's dollars with inflation. It's probably something crazy. Wow, what a crazy time.
It's $117.
$117 today?
Damn.
Okay.
Man, that's loud.
Well, here's the thing. Well, $117 today, like, would you be able to even feed a family?
Dude, that is McDonald's. That is McDonald's for two
Yeah.
people. Pretty
Yeah.
much. Like, it's crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Well, I got to ask this question because I'm really into true crime. Whatever. Did you like when the Zodiac killer was running around killing people? Because at this point you were, probably because you were born. You said 46, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so you're pretty much an adult at this point. He was killing people in the 68, 69, etc. Did that hit the news all over the place or no?
It did, but it wasn't prevalent all over the news. It was more prevalent where it was taking place at.
In California.
Yeah.
Okay. So like national news wasn't a thing yet.
Well, it was with Walter Cronkite and people like that, but it wasn't. You didn't hear about it all the time.
Gotcha.
Didn't hear about it.
In that time period, what would you say? I got to ask this. What was it like? Did you see the Kennedy assassination?
I did.
What was like the atmosphere in the United States at that time? Because you actually lived through it. Like, what was it like having a president be assassinated in broad daylight?
It was the saddest day I've ever witnessed. I was 16 years old, and that was 1963 February.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was assassinated, I thought the whole world was going to blow up, fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I cried.
Yeah.
I cried and cried and cried, and so did a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And then, Lee Harvey Oswald was a patsy, and then Jack Rubenstein killed him right in
Yeah.
the police station.
Yep. Back then, like, did people believe the official narrative, or did everyone think it was a conspiracy?
They believed Oswald did it, and then
They did believe it.
Yeah, and then later down the road, they had the people on the hill, the Knobby Hill and the Grassy Hill, and all that stuff, and things started coming out.
Okay. The grassy knoll.
But I never believed, even young, I never believed it was a guy up there with an old
Shitty rifle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah. The magic bullet and all.
Yeah, it did never make any sense to me.
Yeah. And we're going to talk a little bit more about, because obviously Lyndon B. Johnson became president after, and we'll talk about that as well.
Yeah.
What about when his brother was assassinated? What was that like, RFK?
Another sad day. Sirhan did that on national TV,
Yeah.
and I guess it was the same people that killed him.
Mm-hmm.
Same people wanted Kennedy dead, killed.
Pretty much,
RFK.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this was, obviously, that hit national news. What about the MLK Malcom X? Did those hit national news as well when they were assassinated?
Yes. Yeah. Well, Martin Luther King got assassinated. At that hotel, he was on the balcony. It was another sad day in America. He was a beacon of nonviolence, peace. Yeah. Go ahead and march, but we're equal. We're going to do what we want to do, and people followed him and they respected him. I certainly did.
Mm.
You don't go around killing people because you disagree with them.
Yeah. It was just, man, like, you really lived through, and then, okay, I got to ask this too. Vietnam, what was that like? Obviously, everyone was draft dodging, it was a very controversial war. What was it like living through that?
Well, I did 2 tours in Vietnam before I got aboard the USS Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sad because all these guys were going over there and there's cannon fodder. They were getting killed right and left.
Yeah.
And I was on an ammo ship then, the USS Mauna Kea, AE-22, and we would unwrap ships out at sea, carriers and their sister ships. But all that ammo and all those bombs were going to kill people. And that's another war we should never got in, because the Tonkin Gulf was all BS.
Yeah.
All BS. I went aboard the USS Maddox DZ-731 when I went back in the Navy. That was the ship they said got attacked in the Tonkin Gulf. It never happened.
Really?
Not like they said it did.
Wow.
No, it was a set-up deal. It was a false flag.
Yeah. So you think it was sensationalized just to kind of drag us into war?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To get us into a war we didn't belong in.
Yeah.
Would you say most of those wars were false flags created to like have drama?
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. Look at Iraq. You know, Bush's WMD, and then you got Cheney, and you know they're out there warmongering for war, and you know they killed. I mean, come on, that shock and awe stuff. They killed so many people. That was on. You could see it on TV. You know, it was headline news, and everybody, oh yeah, great. And I knew it wasn't great. You know, it just
Vietnam was bad because like you're fighting on their territory with the Viet Cong in the jungles, and they had all these booby traps out and everything else like that, and they got a lot of prisoners of war. I guess what was the sentiment from the armed forces side with Vietnam? Was everyone like opposed to it? I know a lot of guys use drugs to get through it. What was the sentiment like from the armed forces perspective?
Well, in the armed forces, especially in the Navy, you know, we wanted to have. Of course, we wanted to support our country. We wanted to support our servicemen, but they didn't. You know, hey, listen, they called us baby killers and rotten people, and of course James Calley. You know, he killed those people in the village, and that wasn't good. That was bad press. But what they originally did with that war is it'll go down in history as probably one of the worst wars ever.
Yeah, yeah, and it divided the country, man. Like,
Oh yeah.
So many draft dodging was a thing, so it was just a wild time. What happened?
No, we're good. For now.
Okay, we're good. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll what we'll do is we'll just kind of like get our. So you joined the military, right? Joined the Navy in December 18th of 1964, and take us through, I guess, what led up to that fateful day in 1967.
Okay, after I got off the Mauna Kea, I was transferred to the USS Liberty on the East Coast, because I was on the West Coast at the time. And when I got aboard the Liberty, I didn't really understand what kind of ship it was, Myron, because I was just a dumb kid anyway.
Yeah.
And
because you're what, like maybe 18, 19 at this point?
I was 18.
18.
18. Yeah. And it was a beautiful ship. It had been refurbished. It was an old victory hull ship, World War II. They called them one-wayers because a lot of them got sunk by torpedoes going back.
Okay.
Yeah, they call
so
them
it was one of the few that survived World War II,
yeah.
the ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely. And so they had it in mothballs, and they refurbished it in Washington and made it look like a brand new ship with all the electronic gear and everything. And it
was an intel ship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an intel ship.
It's the most sophisticated spy ship in the world at that time.
Yeah.
And all the antennas were going up. You know, you could see
we
it.
could pull up a picture of it real quick, guys, of the USS Liberty, just so they could see, because you could see like all the antennas. Bills, if you don't mind.
Yeah, there's one on the website.
There's one on the web. Yeah, we could. Yeah. Which, by the way, we're going to show you guys their website as well, their official website. This is it right here. Well, this was after it was attacked.
After.
But could we get one before it was attacked?
Holy.
Yeah. We'll pull it up right now here for you guys. Sorry. So you were saying about the ship. So yeah. So it was the most sophisticated ship at the time, best spy ship, collecting data, probably able to pick up phones and radio communication.
Almost anything you wanted, they could pick it up. In fact, the ship is so sophisticated, they could bounce. This is a 64.
Yeah.
in 65, 67 before we
Okay, so you first got on the Liberty in 64.
65.
60. Okay, so roughly a year or two into into being in the Navy, you got assigned to USS Liberty.
Right, and the Liberty could bounce signals off the moon at that time and have them back to National Security Agency within 3 seconds.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and this is 1964.
Well, 64.
64 is,
yeah.
is when the technology got put on there originally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, it is.
1964, they already had that capability. And this was a ship, and you said the information was going to the NSA?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything the spies couldn't decipher, they sent it right to NSA.
Oh, so whatever you guys collected went to the NSA.
Right.
So that they can deal with the intel product, create an intel product after the fact.
Anything the guys aboard ship couldn't do, and they'd send it back to NSA. And there was a reason for that. They didn't. They wanted to get all the information themselves.
Gotcha. So information comes into the ship. Guys on the ship are trying to decipher it. If they can't decipher it, they send it over to NSA. NSA gives you guys back an intel product on what they couldn't decipher.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I wasn't a intelligence guy. I was ship's company. But,
Ship's company?
Yeah, that was like engineering,
Okay.
boatswain mates, cooks.
So you're like one of the maintenance heads of the ship, keeping it running.
Keeping it running. Our job and only job, Myron, is wherever the spies wanted to go, that's where we had to get them. And that's what we did. Wherever they wanted to go, we took them.
Okay. So question for you. I'm assuming everybody that was on this ship probably had a clearance.
Yes, they had top secret clearance.
Okay.
Top secret.
Everybody.
No, I did not have one.
You didn't have a top secret clearance.
I probably had a secret clearance and I didn't know it. But to get on board that ship, I'm sure they wanted to check everybody out. I mean,
sure,
they just don't,
Yeah. So, like, were you not allowed on certain parts of the ship where they were collecting intel, or could you go in there as well?
No, we could not. We could not go in their spaces. There was 2 different ships, or 2 different crews on that ship.
Okay.
The spies and ship's company, and we didn't talk to each other.
Oh.
We never talked to each other, and because, sadly enough, they said it was because of national security. These guys were some of the finest spies in the world, and they would never say anything to us or anybody else. They took an oath, and they stood by their oath. No, they never told us anything, and we didn't ask.
So this is interesting. So 2 different groups of people on the ship. You got the people that are like maintaining, keeping the ship going, whether it's cooks, engineers, etc., making sure that the ship is always in good shape. And then you got the guys that are on the ship collecting foreign intelligence, deciphering it on ship, or if not, sending it over to NSA to get an intel product. And you guys both cohabitated, hung out on the ship, but you guys didn't talk to each other.
No, they had their own spaces in the stern of the ship, and the rest of us has ours up front in the bow.
Okay.
So they their own berther spaces, we had ours. It was just.
Was there any common rooms at all? Like maybe chow time or anything?
Oh, we had chow time, but they sat by themselves and we sat by ours.
Wow.
In fact, we thought they were snobs.
Okay.
I mean, hey, come on. Look at you guys.
Yeah.
You're all clean. Your fingernails are clean. Here, I'm all dirty. I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
And, it was completely different. I was kind of envious because they had it kind of easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And you say, like, were these guys Navy? Were they NSA? Were they CIA? Like, which agencies did they work for?
they worked for the NSA and I'm sure the CIA too.
Okay. But these guys weren't military.
They were all military.
They were military too, on top of working for these intelligence agencies.
Yeah, the people in the part of the spies were all military, except we picked up one civilian when we got to Rota, Spain, but we'll get into that.
Okay. So no. All right. So they were all military and intelligence. Okay.
All military intelligence.
Like, were they? Did you know their ranks or?
Well, yeah, they went from E2. That's well, it's E2. It's a low level, all the way up to lieutenant.
Officer.
Yeah.
Okay. And you at the time were probably like E.
I was a third class, E4.
E4. Okay. And well, take us through a day like with your MOS. You said you were an engineer, so like in a typical day, what would you do? You'd wake up at what 500, and then what would happen?
Yeah, we'd go to chow around 6 and muster up 7:30.
Okay.
And then go to work.
And the muster, they'd brief you on whatever needed to be done for the day and everything else like that?
Well, they wanted to make sure everybody was there.
Okay. All right. So it's like taking attendance and then give any news or anything else that needed to be done?
Yeah.
Assuming? Okay.
And we got certain jobs we were supposed to take care of, which we did.
Okay.
And I was in the ship fitter shop.
Okay.
I started out in the boiler room and machinist mate.
Okay.
And
that's where you started.
Yeah, it was hot as hell down there, man.
I was going to say.
Yeah, we had the old boilers, and it was hot. So
Yeah.
I decided I wanted to get out of there and go up topside. And
Yeah.
I finally got up there.
Okay. And you did the engineers, and you did, how long were you in the boiler room for?
About 9 months.
9 months? Okay. And then you went up to the top side and you said you were doing,
Ship fitter work. I was a ship fitter pipe.
okay.
That's
What's that entail?
Welding and taking care of shipboard water, potable water, and salt water. And we would salinate. The engineers in the engine room would do that. They'd salinate the water and keep the boilers going and things like that.
Okay. So general ship maintenance in that regard.
General ship maintenance.
Okay. And so, all right, so you wake up, you said around 5, chow, muster up around 7:30, work during the day. What time are you guys done with work by? 4 or 5?
Well, it just depended if we were standing watch. Sometimes you'd work 4 hours and then go on watch for 4 hours. And then 4 hours later, you go on another watch.
Okay.
So it was work, watch, work, watch.
Okay. So you would work at 4 hour spurts and then you go watch. Can you describe to the audience what being on watch means?
Sure. Well, you could have like the 8 to 12 watch. What it is just like you have a certain duty, like a duty station. My watches were still down in the engine room because I knew what I was doing down there. I'd go down there and be a machinist mate, and that's taking care of the salination and all the water supply, and many, the propulsion of the ship, main control, and that's what we would do for 4 hours.
Gotcha.
And then we would go to bed or whatever.
So were you never able to like go to bed for more than like 4 hours?
No, we would have sometimes a full 8 hours.
Okay.
It just depends on what watch you have.
Gotcha.
Like if you had the mid watch, they let you sleep in an extra hour.
Okay.
That's from midnight to 4, and they give you an extra hour to sleep and then go back to work.
Gotcha. So watch is basically like, I guess, being on watch for whatever MOS you had already.
Sure.
Making sure that you maintaining the ship at all times because, obviously the 24/7 operation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you guys are out, I'm assuming, like out in the middle of the sea just collecting information. So it's not like you guys are close to shore, right?
No, we were always out to sea, far away, not far away, but within, staying in international waters. In fact, our normal cruising was from Norfolk to Africa.
Oh, wow. From
Yeah.
Norfolk, Virginia, all the way to, I'm assuming, Western Africa.
Western Africa, and we'd stop in Luanda, many different ports there.
How long would that voyage take from?
We usually did 3 months, 3.5 months, and come back, and then they'd refit the ship, make sure everything's good, and go back out again.
So it's 3 months from Norfolk to Africa.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was our normal steaming, up and down the coast, about 5 knots, picking up signals out of the air. It's perfectly legal. Everybody did it.
Yep.
And
Because
that
you're
was
in
our
international waters at this point.
International waters all the time.
Yeah. So, and I'm assuming it's not like you guys were rushing to get to Africa. It's just like you guys would kind of be out there in the water, collect.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep pushing, collect. But typically it would be 3 months, you'd be in Africa, and then you said, how long would you guys stay in Africa before you went back to Virginia?
About 3 months, 3.5 months.
Okay, so we're talking, all right, so 3 months out, get to Africa, 3 months at Africa, and then 3 months back.
Yeah.
So we're talking like 9 months, almost a year. to do a full rotation.
Yeah.
While you're sailing on the water, do any countries approach you to like ask what you're doing in their waters at all, or they just knew that you were
No,
like?
we operated alone,
Mm.
and we would see different ships, Russian ships or other different nations, but we weren't harassed by them or anything like that. They were doing the same thing. Just picking up signals out the side, seeing what they could figure out.
Okay. I really
was
want to know though. Okay, so you're out at sea, right? And literally like just you guys for a couple months, 3 months on and off. How do you guys have fun on the ship? Like, is it like things you can do on the ship? For example, maybe like games you can play, things you can do. Or
Yeah, how'd
just
you guys pass the time when you
always
weren't
work?
working, I guess, or
Does it
on
always
watch?
work?
Well, yeah, we
Asleep?
play cards, play poker, throw dice. Typical men shit.
Okay.
But
Were there women on board?
Any girls?
no, that was back then. It was called. It was a bad omen if you had women aboard ship.
Let's go.
The sirens.
Nice,
The
good.
sirens.
That's the way it should be. No women in the military. No, I'm just kidding.
How dare you?
Just kidding.
Slow your roll.
Well, in a support role, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So the women were never on the ship with you guys, at least back then.
No, they didn't start that until back in the 80s, I think, something
Okay.
like that.
Were women even allowed in the military? At
Yeah,
this
they
point?
were allowed. But like in the Navy, they were called waves. And most of it was clerical, like corpsmen.
Support work.
Yeah, or yeoman, typing and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But they didn't go aboard ship.
Yeah, they didn't do anything that could be combat related or anything
No,
like that.
no.
Okay, just support. All right, fair enough. I think we could do
We can get into the juicy stuff
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So because I wanted the audience to really understand like what his duties were,
Yeah.
etc. Because then the
Background.
story's gonna make sense when
Yeah.
he starts, talking about
But
what
he
happened.
was definitely there, and he was certifiedly in the military as well. just so
Yeah,
you guys know.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything you guys got before we go off YouTube and get on go into the obviously
real
June
stuff.
8th? Nothing. All right, so guys,
Let's go.
Come on over Rumble, rumble.com/freshfit. We're gonna go into the June 8th, 1967, a very important day, a very tragic day. So come on over to Rumble, guys, right now. Rumble and locals only. Yep. Which we'll still have the green banner on for the people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So